almost every year or on an annual basis, many executive and management teams disappear for a few days or a week for an offsite strategy session. And the output or the outcome of that is normally a very long strategy document. But unfortunately, many businesses still run the same after that because strategy isn't about the offsite. Strategy is what we do on the following Monday morning. So let's look at this offsite strategy process as a ritual that we're all too familiar with. Executive teams would go away for a few days, hire an external facilitator, probably throw in some team building in the mix. And the outcome of those few days would be a very elaborate document or presentation, which would include aspects like SWOT analysis, Porter's five forces, a retrospective view of the organization, bold statements as to where we want to go in the future. It will even look at the vision, the mission, the purpose statement, and sometimes even change it or update it or enhance it. It may even have a risk analysis and some sort of sensitivity analysis that support the 3 to 5 year projections. Now, that's all good and well because it gets put into this elaborate document and gets approved. But the key problem is that once we go back to work, everyone goes back to work as normal. So it's business as usual. And nothing really changes. We still have the same meetings, the same customer complaints, the same decisions that we are making, and ultimately we have the same problems that we are trying to solve. And the document that was so well articulated just goes into a drawer and taken out a year later when we need to update it and go through this ritual again. Now, let's look at how this all plays out. The offsite created the appearance of strategy without strategy itself. It could be thought of as theater, well-intentioned nonetheless, but very elaborate and expensive theater. And most businesses do this every year without even noticing. Now, what's the core problem here? What's actually going wrong? And it comes down to a distinction that most leaders miss. And that distinction is the difference between planning and strategy. A plan is merely a list. And in the business world, it would be a list of things that we plan to do with a target date and often an owner or a person's name or a department attached to it. Whereas strategy is more than that. Strategy is a set of choices of what we'll do, but also what we won't do and what we deliberately are going to say no to. And I think the key difference is plans answer what we are doing, whereas strategy answers a lot more deeper than that. What are we doing and what are we not doing? What are we planning to pursue? At the same time, what are we deliberately deciding not to pursue? What are we trading off to reach our goals in the future? Now, most strategy documents or the theater that we spoke about are detailed plans just dressed up as strategy because it has a list of outcomes or a list of deliverables that we're going to look at. But the trade-offs still often get missed there. We say why we'll grow or what we'll grow, what we're going to pursue, but it never ever says what we're going to stop or which markets we're deliberately deciding not to play in. And real strategy is uncomfortable because it asks us or it requires us to say no. No to customers, no to new products, no to ideas that we really love and would like to pursue. And a list is comfortable or a planning list is comfortable because we are adding to the list. Whereas a strategy is uncomfortable because we need to subtract from the list. And strategy demands subtraction because with too many items on the list, we wouldn't know where to focus on and we'd focus on the easiest ones without the most impactful ones being ever looked at. And the unfortunate point about this is strategy is difficult because saying no and subtracting is just politically uncomfortable in the business world. Now, there's a simple test to distinguish the difference between strategy and strategy theater, and that comes down to what are we doing at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning? The test is simple. After the strategy session, ask yourself the question, will anything change in how you spend your time next week on a Monday morning? Will, will there be meetings you no longer accept? Will there be customers you decide not to service in the future? Will there be products you have opted not to sell? And if the answer is no, nothing really has changed, then you don't really have a strategy. If the answer is yes, we are changing something fundamentally because of the decisions from last week, then yes, a strategy discussion or a strategy session actually took place. And strategy is only real if it changes what you do. So, which customers you service, which products you sell, which markets you go into, and which products and services and offerings you deliberately say no to. Which, as a result, resources you reallocate, which divisions you increase capacity, and similarly, which divisions get reduced capacity allocated to it. And the best strategy is looking at the agenda of the Monday afternoon operations meeting. And if that agenda has fundamentally shifted, or more importantly, if the discussions around that meeting has fundamentally shifted, then we can argue that a real strategy session took place recently. So let's use an example to make it real. Let's say there's an organization that sells a product or a service to everyone. It's a company, it's everything to everyone. And the outcome of the strategy session says that we are going to only sell a premium product or service premium customers. Those decisions need to fundamentally change within the company. So the question about budget customers would become a lot easier. Probably not service budget customers, but focus all attention on the premium customers. The company would walk away from tenders that only compete on price and rather focus on quality. They'd invest in making sure that the product is a quality product, not just an affordable product. And as a result of that, the salespeople would have different conversations. The marketing changes, everything downstream would shift. And that strategy that's showing up not only on a Monday morning, but flows through to the agenda on a Monday afternoon operations meeting. And most strategic businesses can't point to a single thing that changed after their offsite. And that's a diagnostic. If nothing changes, nothing was strategic. A strategy that doesn't show up on a Monday morning isn't a strategy. It's just a very expensive document and a very expensive offsite session. We need to learn to play the long game by making strategy something we live, not just something we produce.